Hello everyone, my name is Isaac from the Innovation Consortium, and today I'd like to share with you about a lathe machine and basically how to operate it. Besides me here, on my right, there is this machine as you can see, and it's what we call a center lathe machine or a lathe machine basically. So commonly, most people know it as a lathe machine, but its full name, it's a center lathe machine. As I had said earlier on, today we would like to know how to operate the center lathe machine. A center lathe machine, to start with, it has controls or switches. These ones help to give it power or to give power to the motor, to the drive. And basically, when I'm starting a lathe machine, we have to switch on the power buttons, and commonly behind the lathe machine, it's where we find the power button. It could be anywhere, but on this type of a lathe, we have this power button. It switches on and off. So right here, it's in the on position, so the machine right now it's having power. When it's off, it also acts as the safety switch. You can lock it when you're switching it off. You engage a lock through these holes, but right now we are going to use it and explain how to operate the lathe machine. So we switch it on the on position. So right now the motor, the drive, this drive, it's having power. It's having power right now, or electricity as we can say. We can call this the operation area or the operating panel or something of a sort. Here we are having also some controls. We are having the change levers. These are the change levers helps us, they help us to change speeds, different types of speeds. We are having the switch, the emergency switch, and we have the power, the clockwise and the anti-clockwise lever, the switch lever actually. Basically this one. Most lathe machines have a switch lever. Why a switch lever? It switches the machine to run clockwise or anti-clockwise. Basically the switch lever is connected to the motor, which switches the rotation of the motor to clockwise and anti-clockwise. So this is it. This is the emergency. You either switch it in or out. Whenever you're having an issue on the lathe machine or it's spoiling your workpiece, you can engage the emergency switch. These are also change levers. These ones are for the speed of the carriage or when thread cutting, but basically they change speeds of a lead screw. This is what we call a lead screw. So before I jump into the lead screws, let me talk about the lathe machine in portions, the different parts of a lathe machine, and later on we shall understand how to operate it. To basically understand the operation of a lathe machine, we shall first start by knowing the main and the different parts of a lathe machine. A lathe machine, it has a headstock. As you see this component here, from here where we are having the gear trains inside here, from the drive, I will open here and you see. From the drive, there are these V-belts. These V-belts come from the motor you saw earlier on, which we powered. They give power to this pulley. Then inside here, there are different gear trains inside this headstock. So basically, it's a headstock. It contains of the drive mechanism, the drive of the chuck which holds the job. It's having gear trains. These ones basically are for the carriage and the lead screws. The lead screws, the switch lever, and the feed screw. So basically that's it for the headstock. It contains the gear trains or the gearbox, basically, if you may understand it that way. It contains the gearbox which operates all the rotating parts of the lathe machine. So basically that's the the headstock. To furthermore explain about the headstock, it's the one which comprises of the gear trains, the switch levers, as I had shown you earlier on, the switch levers, and these other switch levers for the lead and feed screws, and this chuck, as you can see, the chuck, it's the one which holds our workpieces. It rotates as it grips the workpiece, it rotates to give the workpiece a rotary motion. The second part of the lathe machine, we are having the carriage, and what the carriage comprises of, to mention what the carriage comprises of. A carriage has the tool post. The tool post holds the tool, as you can see. It has the screws which hold the tool. Actually, they are the cutting tools, the ones we use to cut the workpieces. It comprises of the cross feed, the cross slide, this one you're seeing here. This is the tool post, as you can see. But this one down, which moves this way, it's the cross slide. And it's having also the hand wheel, which moves the carriage frontwards and backwards on the lathe bed. So this is the component you're seeing here. So it helps the carriage, the whole unit, to move in front and backwards following the bed guideways. It also has these switch levers or the levers. They are not switch levers, they are levers actually. And this one, basically, to explain about, this is a half nut. It engages when you're cutting threads. You engage this lever. It has a nut, but it's a half nut. It engages on the lead screw, so that you cut different pitches, actually different thread pitches. It's this lever which helps us ascertain that. We have another lever over here, and this one is it feeds automatically. Actually, it's the automatic lever. It helps the carriage to get different automation depending where you engage it. Once you engage it downwards, as you can see, you first have to disengage the half nut. As you engage it downwards, the carriage will automatically be moving frontwards or backwards, depending to the setting of the hand knob on the headstock. When you engage it frontwards, the carriage will be moving automatically in the cross direction. It could be moving frontwards or backwards, but automatically, hands free. The other part of the lathe machine, we're having this component here, and this is called the tailstock. What does the tailstock do? A tailstock holds different actually attachments. These could be actually the drilling chucks, drill bits themselves. It's having this ram, and the ram has a hole inside it. It's what adapts different pieces, as I had mentioned earlier on. It adapts the drilling chuck, it adapts drill bits, and very many other components. So basically, that's what the tailstock does. And not to forget, a tailstock also adapts the centers. Once you have a long workpiece, you'll need a center in the tailstock. So it's what it does. It helps in drilling and centering long workpieces. And the other part of the lathe machine, we are having the bed guideways. The bed guideways, as you can see, these two these two V-shaped rails, they are the ones which guide the carriage, the tailstock, as you can see. As you can zoom in right here, you see the V is guiding this carriage to move frontwards and backwards, and the same V is guiding this very tailstock to move frontwards and backwards, but in a straight line. So the bed is the last part of the lathe machine actually. So we are having a tailstock, we have a carriage, we have a headstock, and the bed guideways. So basically those are the four main components on a lathe machine. After understanding the different types of, the different parts actually of a lathe machine, now we shall be handling how to operate it. But before even we understand how to operate it, we should know the basic safety, the safety precautions to be taken while operating the lathe machine. A lathe machine is actually one of the most dangerous machines. It can cause injuries. You end up being amputated by an injury caused by a lathe machine. So safety wise, what should we consider before we start a lathe machine? We should take caution of any rotating part, because a lathe machine, most parts of a lathe machine are rotating. So we should take caution, and when it rotates, it's very easy for it to go with the hand or a loose cloth. Talking about a loose cloth, that's also a precaution to be taken. You should never wear a loose clothing, because all the rotating parts, they can grip to that loose clothing you're putting on or something, and it goes with the loose clothing and ends up taking your flesh or something. The second part of it, you should take caution of the flying objects. When you're cutting with a lathe machine, we're having metal chips which keep on jumping. So always you should put on safety goggles when operating a lathe machine. To talk about the electric cautions, a lathe machine, actually it's insulated, and it's on rare occasions you find a lathe machine shocking or having a hazard of electric shocks. But basically, if you see any loose wirings or anything on a lathe machine, you should take caution and maybe insulate, but it's on rare occasions. So basically, the three I talked of, the flying chips, the rotating parts of a lathe machine, and wearing loose clothing, maybe they could also cause injuries. So basically, before you start a lathe machine, you should take caution of those main three hazards on a lathe machine. Now talking about how to operate. I had enlightened earlier on at the start of the video, but I will re-talk about how to operate it. To start with, the switch I showed you, the main switch, you switch on the mains. After switching on, the motor is already having power. Then we come to the switch levers or the gear levers. These two you're seeing here are the gear levers, plus this one the knob, which changes the direction. This knob changes, it's a mechanical lever, it changes the rotation. After switching on the mains, we come to the main, the operating panel. We are having these two levers, actually there are three. These ones are the gear lever, the gear switch levers. These ones you change speeds. The speed chart, as you're seeing here, this is the speed chart. And the levers indicate what you're changing on the chart. So we are having a B and A lever. So respectively, where you shift the lever, depending on the chart, you'll be changing to different speeds, depending on what you're cutting. These levers move. It can move to the left. We have engaged a certain gear to another, getting another speed. Once I change it this way, I'm having another gear. When I move this one, this side, I'm having another speed actually. When I change it to the left, I'm also having another speed. So they move left, right, depending on the chart, the different speeds you want, as you can see, from 50 to 1,600 revolutions per minute. So the speeds and revolutions per minute. You can put to 50, it is slower, to 10, to 60, by just changing these two levers. So basically that's how we change speeds, with the help of these two levers. We are having the third lever here. This third one, it changes the rotation of the feed screw. This is the feed screw, and this lever changes the rotation of the feed screw. So once I turn it left, the feed screw will be turning anti-clockwise. When I turn it to the right, the feed screw will be turning clockwise. So basically that's the use of the third lever. Why clockwise and anti-clockwise to the feed screw? The feed screw basically, it's the one which moves the carriage actually. So when it's moving anti-clockwise, the carriage will be moving in front. When it moves clockwise, the carriage will be moving backwards. So this is the backward and the front. So with the help of the feed screw, the carriage can move backwards or in front, but with the help of power. We are having these other levers, these two levers. These ones change speeds of the feed screw and the lead screw actually. When you're cutting maybe threads, we normally use these ones. So these ones we shall highlight and more when you are cutting our threads. So basically, when we are starting a lathe machine, these are the speeds. These ones change the speeds of the lead screw. This one changes the rotation of the lead screw. So basically that's it. After confirming we've engaged all the gears, mechanically you can feel by trying to rotate the chuck, it will be having some resistance. So you confirm there is a gear which I have engaged. Once the gear is half engaged, maybe somewhere here, you'll hear the chuck making that noise. So it's confirming to you that the gear is half engaged. So you'll have to engage it more to ascertain a certain gear. So once you don't hear that noise or that rattling noise, you're confirming that the machine is having a gear engaged. So you're free to either actually to turn on the switch lever, as I had explained. The switch lever, it's the one which switches on the motor to run clockwise or anti-clockwise. The other switch backwards, it powers the motor. This one is the emergency. Then this one, it powers or it switches on the motor to run. So once I turn it up, the machine has to run. When I turn it downwards, the machine has to run anti-clockwise. Up, clockwise, down, anti-clockwise. So we are going to try out a test and we see how the machine operates basically. So after engaging all the gears to the desired speed according to the work you're going to do or the operation you're going to perform in the lathe machine, you're good to go. You switch on or you turn the switch lever to the upward direction to give the chuck a rotary motion. Once I turn it to the upward direction, you see the chuck already rotating. So I've switched on the machine and the chuck is already rotating. When I turn it down, the chuck will move anti-clockwise. So depending on any operation you're doing, be it turning or threading or any other operation, it's the switch lever which turns on the machine. After all your settings and setting the speeds and switching on the machine, then you switch on the hand lever. The machine will start rotating automatically. So that's it basically, how to operate a lathe machine. I hope you've understood the whole process of switching on, turning on the gears, switching to the desirable gears or speeds, and later on to the turning on the chuck and the safety. And I thank you very much for your time, for viewing this session. I remain Isaac from the Innovation Consortium. Thank you very much. Keep tuned in for more of the episodes of maybe how to turn on a lathe machine, how to thread on a lathe machine, how to groove. There are many more sessions we shall be bringing for you on a lathe machine. Thank you very much. Keep tuned in.